If you've ever found yourself in need of legal help, you know the legal system can be complicated. In all legal matters, it's best to have a knowledgeable attorney guide you through the process. However, there are times when, with the proper information, you can be proactive in defending your rights. I'm here to give you some of that information. Keep in mind, this is not legal advice. The legal issues of any given situation are always specific to that situation. Proper legal steps to take can and do vary widely, sometimes even just depending upon where you live. What we're going to talk about is intended to give you a better understanding of your rights. This is not intended to replace the advice of competent legal counsel licensed in your state. In this episode, we'll be talking about how renters can get landlords to make repairs. If you're a tenant, every month you pay rent to a landlord. In exchange for your payment, the landlord is legally obligated to make sure your home, whether it's an apartment, a condo, or house, is fit to live in. That means you can and should expect to live in a home that is in basic good shape, meets local housing codes, and is reasonably energy efficient. If you find your home is in need of repairs, but you're having a difficult time getting your landlord to make them, the steps that we're going to talk about can help resolve those issues. Keep in mind, a landlord cannot evict you for enforcing your legal rights to live in a safe, secure home. The most important thing you can do to protect your rights with a landlord is to document your situation. When you first move into your new home, take note of the condition. Are there any holes in the walls? Are the floors scratched? Are the appliances in good working order? Are the rugs clean? Take pictures and make a list of anything that's not in working order and have the landlord sign that list. Give him or her a copy and keep a copy for your records. This will come in handy when it's time to move out and you're looking for a security deposit refund, as well as if issues are not resolved in a timely manner. If a problem has developed, something that needs to be fixed, the first thing you'll want to do is to notify the landlord in writing. All you need is a simple letter identifying which repairs need to be made. Here's an example of what the letter should look like. You can print this sample letter for your own use. It can be found at this address. Let's take a look at how this letter should be filled out. First, you will need to write in the landlord's name and the date. Next, check off the problems. Write in when they started and describe them. For example, if there are mice in your apartment and your kitchen faucet drips, you will want to check those items. Write in the date you noticed the problems and describe what you are seeing. When you're done, fill in your name and address and sign the form. Make a copy for yourself and send a copy to the landlord. Some cities have housing inspectors. It is the housing inspector's job to ensure a residence is meeting the city's housing codes. Call 211 to find out if your city does have inspectors. If so, and if the needed repairs in your home are serious enough, you may want to have a housing inspector look at your apartment. An inspector may find problems you missed and can help make sure that the landlord fixes those problems. Give the inspector a copy of the repair list you made for your landlord. So, your landlord has your list of work that needs to be done. The city inspector has informed him or her of repairs that are needed. What happens next? Once your landlord is notified in writing, either by you or by the housing inspector, he or she will have to complete the repairs in a timely manner, usually between 14 to 30 days. If an emergency repair needs to be made, however, the landlord needs to act much more quickly. If your repair is an emergency, you have no power, no heat, no stove or oven, no working plumbing, or no hot water, call a legal aid office right away. The rules are a little different for this sort of situation, and legal aid can tell you what steps you can take to more quickly solve the problem. If you can't find an attorney to assist you, You can also see the fact sheet and legal form for starting an emergency repair case at www.lawhelpmn.org. In non-emergency situations, usually sending a letter to the landlord will get repairs made. But what if, even with your letter and the housing inspector's letter, your landlord refuses to or still has not made the repairs? You may have to take further legal action. Many people believe if they are having a problem with their landlord not making agreed-upon repairs, they can simply stop paying rent as a way to get the landlord to fix those problems. It is almost never a good idea to stop paying your rent because of repair problems, and doing so could result in serious legal and financial consequences. The legal action a renter can take against the landlord who still has not made repairs is called a rent escrow action. Rent escrow means you still pay your rent, but rather than send it to your landlord, you send it to the court. So you can start a case against the landlord until the repairs are made. The point of the rent escrow action is to get the help of the court to try and force your landlord to make any repairs they are legally obligated to make. By continuing to make your rent payments, you're showing the court you are operating in good faith, doing everything you need to do to follow the rules. With a rent escrow action, you fill out a form, giving the court all the information on how much rent you pay, how much repairs would cost, and how much rent you think should either be returned to you or reduced until the repairs are made. You'll bring that form along with your other documentation to court and present your case to a judge. At the hearing, you can ask the judge to consider the following solutions to the problem: order repairs, reduce your rent until the repairs are done, give you back rent money for the months you lived there with the repair problems, let you get the repairs made, and deduct the cost from your rent. There is a fee to file this form, but depending upon your income, you may be able to have that fee waived. Some cases can last several months if the repairs take a long time to be completed. Be aware that if you do not pay all of the rent that you owe into court at the beginning of the case, and as rent becomes due in future months, your landlord can ask to have you evicted for non-payment of rent. Before you decide to file your case, you should make sure that you will be able to pay your rent on time for as long as the case might last. Here are the specific steps to filing a rent escrow action. In order to be effective, you'll need to follow these steps fully when filing a rent escrow action. It's not hard, but you will need to have specific information and documentation ready. And remember, the point of filing this form is to make sure you and your family are living in a safe, clean home. If you have a low income, you might be able to get help with this from a lawyer at your local legal aid office. If you can't get a lawyer to help, you can do it yourself. Here's how. First, you will need to fill out a rent escrow affidavit. You can find that form online. Let's take a look at how you fill that out. You are the plaintiff, and the landlord is the defendant. For now, you won't need to worry about the file number. You'll get that from the court. Fill in your basic information, address, your landlord's address, and how much you pay for rent. In 5, check the box that applies to your situation. For number 6, this is the amount that you currently owe your landlord. This is also the amount you will need to bring with you to give to the court. If you are current on your rent payments, this amount would be 0. It's a good idea to have proof that the rent has been paid if you are telling the court that your rent is up to date. Including a receipt from your landlord or a copy of a canceled check would be a good idea. If you owe for the month you are filing or for any other past months, you need to enter the total still owed to the landlord and pay that amount to the court. For number 7, Estimate how much it would cost the landlord to fix all the repairs. This amount should be realistic and based on how much it would cost the landlord to hire someone to do the work. So remember to factor in labor and materials. You may want to call a contractor to help with an estimate. This does not need to be exact, just make a good guess. For number 8, make sure you use the date when you first let the landlord know about each repair issue. If you called or talked to the landlord in person first, use that earlier date. If there were repairs that needed to be done when you moved into your apartment and you notified the landlord and they were never fixed, put your move-in date on this blank. If you took pictures or made a list, bring these with you to court. For number 9, think about how much the repair issues affect your use and enjoyment of your apartment. The full amount of rent per month is what your apartment is worth if there are no repair issues. For minor repair issues, you may say that your apartment is worth just a little less than you normally pay. If there are larger, more troublesome issues, you may think your apartment is worth considerably less. For example, if you pay $600 per month in rent, but your kitchen sink is broken and you have to prepare food and wash dishes in the bathroom, you may say your apartment was only worth $300 during this time. If you can't sleep in your apartment or the repair problems make your apartment unlivable, it is common to say your apartment is worth close to nothing while these issues are unresolved. Don't underestimate the amount, but be reasonable, as a judge will review it and you want the judge to trust your judgment. For question 10B, use the same dollar amount as you entered in for question 9. For question 10C, you need to determine how much the landlord owes you for the unresolved repairs. To do that, follow these steps. 1. Start with how much you pay each month for rent under your lease. 2. Subtract the amount you entered in number 9 from that rent amount. This is the amount you think you have overpaid each month. 3. Then multiply the amount you think you have overpaid each month by the number of months you were waiting for the repairs to be made. This is your total overpayment. 4. If the total overpayment is less than the number you entered on line number 6, enter the total overpayment on line 10C. Or, if the total overpayment is more than the number you entered on line number 6, then enter the number from line number 6 on line number 10C. Line 10D. You only need to fill out 10D if the total overpayment was more than the number you entered on line number 6. If it was, subtract the number you entered on line number 6 from the total overpayment. Fill out the rest of the form, but don't sign or date it yet. You need to sign and date it in front of a notary public at the courthouse. You'll need to bring a photo ID to prove who you are. You'll file the rent escrow form at your county courthouse. Remember, you cannot file your rent escrow case until after the deadline in your letter or the inspection order have passed. Make sure you bring the following with you. 1. Your rent escrow affidavit filled out with your information. 2. A copy of any inspection orders and letters to the landlord about the repair issues. And 3. Payment for the amount you entered on line number 6. Until you file your rent escrow action, make sure you pay your rent to the landlord as soon as it is due. If you do not pay it or you withhold it because of the repairs, your landlord can try to evict you. So it is better and safer to use rent escrow. It's a good idea to call or go online before you get to the court to find out what the fee for filing the rent escrow is and which forms of payment are accepted by the court. If you have limited income, you can fill out a form available at the court or online. It's called an informa pauperis. If you do apply for the waiver, you'll need to bring proof showing you are low income. Pay stubs or proof of public benefits would work. After you file, the clerk will set a hearing for you within 10 to 14 days. The landlord will also need to be notified of the hearing date. The court will notify your landlord. However, if the number you entered on line number 7 is over $10,000, you will have to notify your landlord yourself. There's a specific way that needs to be done. The court clerk should be able to explain and provide forms. After you have a hearing date, you should make sure you have all of your documents in order. You will want to make sure you bring all of this paperwork with you to court. A few things to include: copy of your rent escrow affidavit, copy of your written lease if you have one, tenant repair list, any city inspection documents. You can get a certified copy of the inspection report at the inspections office. Photos that show the problems, label and date them for the court. Proof of rent paid. Copies of any correspondence between you and your landlord regarding the repairs. Any other documents or evidence you want the court to consider. Keep in mind, you can also bring a witness with you. This should be a person who has first-hand knowledge of the repair problem, like a neighbor or a roommate. Also, you may be able to have the housing inspector appear in court if he or she knows more than is in the report. You can ask the clerk how to do this. During the hearing, you will need to show the court how long the repair problems have existed, how long the landlord knew about them, and how the problems have affected you and made your life worse. Be detailed. For example, have the problems made it hard or not possible to cook or to study? Do the problems affect your sleep? After you've presented your information and the landlord has had the opportunity to respond, the judge will make a decision about your rent and the repair problems. Remember to document everything. Make copies of everything and be able to speak with the judge in as much detail as possible. I hope this information has given you a clear explanation of how you can ensure yours and your family's safety and security in your home. If you have more questions about this or other legal topics, please visit LawHelpMN.org for more information.